Okay, I'm Isaac, and this is America the Lighthouse, and I kind of want to talk kind of on two subjects. One I've done before, but I really want to reiterate the point of that opinion, and the other one is just something interesting I noticed. So let's do the second thing first, because it's new. Um, it's in regards to the new Venom movie that came out. Now, I saw the first one and I thought it was good. It was a nice kind of like wacky, over the top superhero movie you want to see. Um, you wanted to just just barely skirt the bounds of reality, so you can utilize the suspension of disbelief while still being thoroughly entertained. And comic books are really hard to that to do. Do comic books are really hard to adapt to movies, um, simply because of the kind of over the top silliness of the nature of comics. Um, and no matter how serious a comic is, it's always a little hard to put into a tangible, realistic setting and maintain the same type of appeal. Um, and we've seen multiple failures of that. Um, let's take like the Fantastic Four movies. There have yet to date been any good Fantastic Four movies. Then you got good examples like Iron Man was pretty good. I thought Captain America 1 and 2 were good. I thought the 3 is kind of weird simply because they couldn't do the original story arc in that because of the conflicting copyrights and intellectual property ownership in that franchise. X-Men being owned by Fox, I think at the time for the majority of it, at the beginning of it at least. So they couldn't bring the mutants in, and that was a big part of Civil War was the mutant aspect, um, not the enhanced soldiers like Captain America and Black Widow or Hawkeye. Um, but more as the actual mutants like Cyclops and Wolverine and Nightcrawler. Although there were people like the Punisher in Civil War, but it was more of around a mutant story arc than it was like just a what are they the an Avengers story arc, which is kind of weird. But I understand the reason why they had to do it that way. That's why it's not. I don't put it as one of the best. 1 and 2 are in my opinion just perfect. And sometimes you don't need a trilogy. Sometimes you just need two movies in the same with the same similar title like Halloween 2 were really good. Not any of the remakes, but the original two were really good. 3 was okay. I thought was 4 was good. 5 was when they started going off the rails. But you have like there's a lot of movies that were just 1 and 2 and they were good. Uh my cat's meowing outside, so as soon as I get done spinning off the weather in. Um Apparently she killed 2 mice. Whether it's the 2 mice that were loitering around my basement or just 2 wild mice, it's yet to be seen. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let her into the basement just for now. Because she's really, really meowing. And this is gonna stay in the video. And so, and I got it off of them. Well, tried there in the weeds. But this is movie about some the Venom movie. Now they'll probably make this one the next one, then probably a third one. And by all means, go ahead and do it. But they have this tendency to change stuff in the movies. Now, I understand you want a little different storyline than the comic book, so you get engagement from old and new people who are interested in that fandom. Um, but they got this notion of changing the fundamental core of people to appease what seems to be a large majority of people, but are actually just a small minority of loud, annoying, angry, humorless, joyless sacks of human waste. And what they're doing to Venom is they're now going to make Venom somehow gay, or at least gay-like with Eddie Brock. And albeit I don't know a lot about the Venom character, say as I would like the Batman or other characters, but I do know that Eddie Brock was Eddie Brock. I had to show away. She was going to try to jump up on my table, and I've got my lamp up there. It would have fallen on her, and me swatting at her is worse than the lamp falling on her. So all you people out there are gonna be like, "Oh, he hit his cat." No, I didn't. I shoot her. I was shoot. You know. But that doesn't matter. But as far as I can tell, Eddie Brock was at least in the first movie. So I mean, as I said, I don't know a lot about Venom, so that leads me to believe that he does like boinging the women. That's where his sexual preference lies. And the alien symbiont, being an asexual parasitic organism in itself, can be neither gay or straight. Uh, but they must make them gay. They must make them part of the LGBTYQ plus community because they have to be inclusive. Now, am I saying that gays and transgender people get uh, fair representation in media and entertainment? And I would have to say yes, considering that the percentage of the people who are that in society generally represents the amount that they're seeing on screen and in ads, means that they are well represented. Now, does that mean that every single character on the show is transgender? No, of course, that's not going to be the case. You're going to have a fraction of the show or whatever it is in relation to the actual legitimate like statistical population of them in society. And so America, you see a lot of it. You don't see a lot of of South Africans doing Japanese commercials or being in Japanese films because their movies reflect their society, and the society is pretty monolithically Japanese. So that's what's shown in the films. But America, we have blacks and Asians and gays and straights, and so they all end up in some representation in our entertainment industry just because of a statistical happenings, as in they will if there are 10% African American people in the community, then they will then make up 10% of the respected fields and positions in that community. It's not going to be 30. It's not. It might be lower than the 10, uh, due to whatever the case may be for unemployment or whatever that entails, not being up to 10. But it can never be above what it is statistically in the society as a reflection in media and entertainment. And so this idea that they now have to make everyone gay or black, like the erasing of gingers in the film, black to gingers to black, or straight and then parasitic symbiotic organisms gay. They have to do that, and it's not going to do well. They say Venom doing good, but what was it? What is Venom running against? And we just came out of a big lockdown where people weren't allowed to go to movie theaters. So, of course, whatever crap that is shilled out is going to be very, very popular and very, very watched. Whether that means that film has long-lasting uh, retainability in society, I think this will go down as another hiccup on Hollywood's need to over-inject uh, social and imaginary niches into entertainment. I don't think it'll age well at all. But of course, I could be wrong. But I have a feeling this Venom will be the one that people don't want to talk about. It's the one that's like, it was okay, but. And look at that, 9 minutes. So I guess I won't get back to my original video. I wanted to talk more about the masks just because I can't stress enough how wildly insane I think the whole concept of this is. And and people I talk to in my day-to-day lives, most of them feel the same way as I do. Whether they go to the extent that I do to rebel against it is another thing. But their idea is the same. Their sentiment's the same on it. I just think more people need to not only just have that sentiment, but act on it actively. Um, because that's the only way we're going to get back to not this new normal. We're going to get back to the good old days when oh look, I didn't even smoke it. I rolled a cigarette, didn't even smoke it as I was talking and holding my pipe in my hand. But Actually, you know what, this I'll no, wait, I'll talk about 5 minutes on this video, just to end about that and then smoke a cigarette because I found my fancy cool unbleached papers. They're brown because they're not bleached. So one less little bit of this is I'm consuming. Um, but the masks are fucking bullshit. Um, and why I know they're bullshit is because the masks that you see 90% of people wearing are surgical masks, those square rectangular ones with the pleated thing so they can spin down. Um, those were never designed to stop the flow of oxygen or viruses. It was simply to stop doctors from coughing or sneezing into patients while they're working on them, operating on them. That being said, you do see people wearing those white masks that people use when they're doing sanding or stuff like that. Woodwork, they'll wear one of those white masks. Um, but those masks, again, won't stop the virus. They will, however, stop pieces of wood particles that have been skewed aside that are very much smaller than like an oxygen or virus matter, but very much big enough that they could get in your lungs and cause problems. So those masks will block those particles, and even only to a degree, because you move your lips, you move your mouth, and it's not airtight. So every once in a while, some will get sucked through, but it very much does reduce the amount of wood particles you breathe in. And then you have welding masks. Again, won't stop the virus, but will stop hot pieces of molten metal flying at your face, which is its job. And then you have people who are painting using spray painters. They have those masks with those two things on the side. Again, those will keep out like paint in the air, but you can still breathe oxygen through, so you can still breathe the virus through. Uh, and since the virus isn't really sappy and sticky like paint is, it will go right through the filter, whereas the paint gets stuck in that filter. And again, does it stop all the paint you inhale? No, but it stops enough to make that it's not threatening or extremely dangerous. But this idea and then you see people um wearing those gaiters. It's just a thin piece of cloth. It's like a t-shirt, but it's designed to stay on your area here. You see people wearing those, and uh, those are probably the least effective of any of them of doing anything other than being stylish and maybe make it easier to rob a train or a stagecoach back in the Wild West days. I always made fun of people who wore bandanas because I'm like, what do you want to rob a train? Because what's the point of them? There's a point for everything, and we've been told that these masks are to stop viruses, and that is categorically absolutely wrong. These masks will never stop the virus, never have stopped the virus. Um, there's really nothing save a hazmat suit or in complete isolation to stop you from getting a virus if you're going to get it outside. All the mask does is reduces my ability to see your facial expressions, um, the ability to see smiles or like shrugs or grins or frowns. It stops us from seeing 90% of the way we take in human facial features. Um, and that's not good. So not only are they are not helpful in any way, shape, or form, they actually cause long-term damage to us as humans. Very social, we're very visual social creatures. And so whether you think the masks work or not work, you're stupid because they don't work. I mean, sorry, if you think the masks work or any of the masks work, you're stupid. You're a fucking idiot. And if you know the masks don't work and you still wear them, then you're a fucking a useful idiot because you're going along with this idea of something that is not true. That you're basically agreeing that 2 plus 2 is 5. When 2 plus 2 is 4, the masks work in a surgical setting. All the other masks that I've seen for this thing, they're used in other purposes, but none of them, any of them, have ever stated or can ever state technically, scientifically, that they stop a virus. They stop whatever the employment of that uses, like painting, woodcrafting, welding, surgical, hence the surgical mask. They're not medical masks. They're not like prostate masks. They're surgical masks, and that's what they're there for surgical procedures. So doctors don't cough or sneeze while operating on someone. Um, and so if you don't want to cough and sneeze on someone, then wear one, fine. But I was trained to sneeze and cough into my elbow or my hand when I'm in public, like a decent human being in society. Here comes my cat. Does my cat want to come up here? No, she doesn't. She wants to sleep around or slink around like a whore cat. Um, but yeah, no. So stop making people gay that don't need to be gay, and stop believing that 2 + 2 is 5 when it comes to these masks, because it is just you're just so stupid if you say that you think the masks do anything other than uh you know what they're intended for. And none of them are intended to stop viruses. Not a single one of them. That's it. Yeah, commies, fuck off.